Good morning, Oshin. Welcome to my podcast, One for the Road. Thanks so much for joining me. I know you're a busy man, and how I came across you was a friend of mine sent me an interview you did recently about your sobriety, and I watched it all, and I was so impressed for such a young man, 30 years old, and an elite sportsman as well, how wise you are around your sobriety. So I thought I'd reach out and get you on. So thanks for coming and joining me, mate. How are you today?
Thanks for having me on, David. I'm very well. I really am. It's pissing rain outside. But I woke up sober this morning, and I'm going to go to bed sober tonight. And I suppose the first thing I think of every morning, when I go down my hands and knees, is thank you, God, that I went to bed sober last night, and helped me get through the day sober today, David. And I never did that before. In 29 odd years of my life, I never uh I never prayed to be sober, and I was never thankful for the days that I was. And the reason for that was I didn't really want to be sober.
I know I can vouch for that as well. And you have to really want that, don't you, to be able to succeed. But we're getting to that a little bit later. As my listeners know, I always like to start at the beginning and get a bit of a profile on you. So, where were you born, mate? And what was your childhood like?
I was born in Ireland in 1995. I was 11 weeks premature. I had a lot of catching up to do in the first 10 years of my life, not only physically because I was so small and had some underdeveloped features like my ears and eyesight. I was also just not very bright at school, and I really found it tough. But I went to a very good school, and they worked very hard to get me up to speed. I had one-to-one tuition and extra help, particularly in maths and English. And by the age of about 11, I was doing very well, and I was addicted to riding ponies. I spent all day, every day, either thinking about riding or being actually physically on their back, which was quite isolating. I did most of that on my own, completely on my own. But I was focused on trying to achieve and one day do this as a full-time thing. And that didn't change all the way through secondary school from 11 to 15. I worked on my school holidays for different trainers, Aidan O'Brien and Tommy Stack. And um, basically, when I wasn't at school, I was on a horse again, and I was starting to make progress. My riding was improving. It did stop me from having a social life. I wasn't around the town with other people my age, and I didn't really have a chance to make friends. I did play a little bit of football, which I enjoyed, and I wasn't too bad at, but that was my only kind of social thing. Then I got sent to England when I was 17. So I got sent over here in October 2012. First time I've been properly away from home without my family. Only the second time I'd been outside Ireland, I think, and maybe the second or the third. I've been to Spain once. I've been to the UK once before that. Um, and It was a shock to the system. Very homesick, crying down the phone. Uh, Wanted pity from my family, and they told me to cop on to myself. You know, it will be fine. It'll work itself out. They were correct. Um, Made friends with the other boys in the yard who were sort of my age. Um, They were all going down to the pub in the evening. I wasn't. I was going up to my room. I would do homework like learn the pedigrees of the horses in the stable, and I don't know how I even passed the time watching race replays. Anyway, they never managed to lure me down to the pub. And I was there from October 2012 until June 2014. In the meantime, I had my career had really taken off, and I'd become a professional jockey, and all the rigmarole quite boring. Still without drinking, so I might have had one drink, not more than 5 times during that period. And not too bad in 2015, no drinking. I was living with my Auntie Gemma, very focused on trying to do well. And then I suppose we roll the clock forward to 2017, and I was first jockey to Qatar Racing. I had developed some friends for the first time ever, and had won a few Group 1 races, and I started drinking at home every day.
Hmm.
I would actually, that's not even accurate enough, David. I would ride my last horse, and I'd be driven to the races, and as we drive home from the races, I'd be drinking. At those early stages, we just stop off at a garage. But quickly it progressed to me texting my driver, asking him or her, depended through the years, um, to pick me up a bottle of wine or a bottle of champagne or a bottle of vodka. And in those years, it was white wine, sort of any champagne, and Belvedere Grey Goose vodka or Ciroc if they didn't have any. And I was getting pissed every night. And not only pissed, I was blacking out most nights. And that all happened with incredible progress. I enjoyed the feeling drink brought me.
Wow,
The
do you know what? That's given me a bit goosebumpy actually, because
Mm.
what I actually thought you were going to say was because you got a group of new friends and you were becoming successful or you were successful, that you started going out and drinking to celebrate. So the
No,
fact that because it sounds to me from an early age, you've lived quite a solitary kind of lifestyle, out on the horse on your own and not a lot of friends around you, right? So to go into drinking in that way for me was a later on bit. Like I was very social in the beginning. So what do you think started it? If you wasn't really a drinker, you were very
Mm.
focused on your career, and then all of a sudden something changed, didn't it?
Yeah, well, the focus didn't change in my career, but I found a way of escaping the pressure.
Right.
Um, Previous to that, there was never an off button to my brain thinking about upcoming races and previous races and what I didn't do well in. And all of a sudden, I was able to find a release. And I loved the feeling, particularly with vodka and lemonade. I loved the feeling, the kind of between the fourth and the eighth drink gave me,
Mm,
and
mm,
they might be like, so the listener has an idea. They might be to begin with like 50 ml measures with like 150 ml of lemonade, and then they would get a little bit stronger. They might go up to 80 ml measures of vodka to 100 ml lemonade, nearly half and half. And Yeah, I was able to get up in the morning. I got drunk quickly. I would often fall asleep on the sofa, but I would be asleep by 11, so no problem getting up at 6. Didn't really think I was harming anyone. Was good at going to the pub, once a month, with a girl for dinner, not getting too drunk. I really thought in my own mind, yes, I'm drinking too much, but it's almost having a positive effect on my life. I was that sick so quickly that I had convinced myself that alcohol was good for me.
mm.
I remember the first time, David, a fella said to me I had a drink problem, I was riding in Hong Kong on a 3-month contract, and I had blacked out in his presence. So I don't know why he thought I had a drink problem, but my immediate reaction um, was deny. I think deep down I knew I was drinking too much. I didn't want to believe I had a problem. And if anything, because he was a big drinker himself, it almost it just pissed me off. It pissed me off that this fella who maybe I thought was an alcoholic would call me an alcoholic at such a tender age. You know, I was 22, 21, 22. I thought, how dare he? Um, and I drank the shit out of it in 2018. Very successful year in the saddle for me. Drank the shit out of it in 2019. Again, no repercussions. People probably thought I was just a fun drinker. You know, up until this stage, I had never got in trouble with the police. I had never got in trouble on a night out. I had been in a fight in a nightclub when I was about 16, but it wasn't really alcohol related. It was very silly, but no fights. And you know, my friends were uh, I had some better friends, or what I perceived as better friends. They were getting in trouble as a result of drinking now, you know, and I could, in my twisted mind, I was separating myself from them. They were losing their driving licenses for drink drive. I wasn't. They wouldn't turn up for work. I wasn't. They were doing cocaine. I wasn't. Um, and yeah, I thought I really had a handle on it. I convinced myself I had a handle on it. And October 2021, I'm about to be third time champion jockey. Um, I had been drinking now every day, and particularly in the mornings, if I had a day off in this sort of period. Um, it began in COVID. I would wake up in COVID and have a glass of wine pretty quickly. Um, a friend of mine called James Doyle, who's a very good jockey, told me he wasn't drinking during COVID, and we nearly fell out. I could not comprehend why someone wouldn't drink every day during COVID. You don't have any responsibilities. You can order wine to the door. I drank a lot of rosé. I think I drank a magnum. It really wasn't enough, but I began or attempted to just drink a magnum of rosé every day. I was probably up to like four or five bottles of rosé through the day during COVID. Of course, when we went back to normal, my drinking didn't slow down. Um, I tried not to drink, obviously, in the afternoon because I was racing every day. But if I wasn't racing, I would definitely be having my first drink before midday. Roll the clock forward to October 2021. I finally accepted that my drinking was unmanageable, that it was out of control. I was at a friend's 21st or 25th. All of a sudden, David, now as well, in my little mind, I have loads of friends, you know. Amazing how things changed. I had been at this stage, I suppose, successful for 5 years. And and the little boy who didn't have friends for the previous 20 odd years now thought he had loads. And went to my friend's 21st dinner. Um, no problem, but drank like 2 bottles of wine and actually drank the majority of a bottle of vodka from the races on the way to the 21st. I was at Chelmsford evening meeting. I had one horse die on me, broke 2 front legs. I had another horse win. It was very close in the Jockeys Championship. I was under a huge amount of pressure. I wasn't sleeping very well. Obviously, the alcohol wasn't helping me sleep. Again, for the listeners, I had convinced myself that the only way I could sleep was by getting drunk. Rode a transfer, got in the car, drank most of the bottle of vodka on the hour journey back to Newmarket, drank 2 bottles of wine like a gentleman over dinner, remember leaving there, went to the yard pub, bearing in mind I'm riding in a Group 1 the next day at Newmarket for cat eye racing. I've got like 6 or 7 rides on the card, completely out of my mind, didn't even cross my mind. All my so-called friends, no one thought, oh, Oisin Murphy's riding in a Group 1 tomorrow. Is he okay to be out at 1 o'clock in the morning? I threw a plastic glass at our bloodstock agent. God knows why. There's no particular reason. I've been friendly with him before and after. I gave a horse trainer some abuse because he hadn't been giving me rides that year. He'd been giving a rival of mine rides in the Jockeys Championship. The rival was called William Buick. I had never suffered from envy in my life. Bearing in mind, I'm the one on top of the Jockeys Championship table. Why would I be envious? But again, it's just very sick in the head. Went racing the next day. Blew in the breathalyzer. I was under the drink drive limit miraculously. Bearing in mind, I didn't stop drinking till I got thrown out of the pub for throwing a plastic glass at about 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to blow on the breathalyzer at about 11:30 at the races. Um, so the race riding limit is half the drink drive, half the UK drink drive. So I couldn't ride. Incredibly embarrassing. Um, Admitted I needed help. Had my first sober day in, I'm not exaggerating, maybe 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
First full sober day. Um, Cold sweats, whatever, didn't actually last that long. The beauty of youth. Couple of days. Fully focused, went to the Breeders' Cup, sober, not knowing what to do, David. Like this now, I'm going down a path that I've never been down. How am I going to manage this? I've never managed big races sober. Previous to this, get to the Breeders' Cup, had been sober maybe 3 weeks. I'm there a few days early. Have a few um, um, mojitos at breakfast time, maybe one or two. They kind of look like a fruity drink. Anyway, sober on Breeders' Cup Day, I'm rewarded. I won the Breeders' Cup Distaff. That result convinced me to give sobriety a go. Thought I can't drink secretly, having mojitos at breakfast time. It's embarrassing. Sitting there on my own with a scrambled egg and a bloody mojito. Get into therapy, begins once a week, but I'm very focused now. I'm ultra motivated. I receive a suspension from the BHA for 14 months, 30 odd grand fine. I can give all my energy to this. Was it hard? Not really. I had a girlfriend who was really motivated that I stay sober. I had no stress in my life. I didn't really have any financial stress. Didn't have to ride. Didn't have any abuse on social media. Didn't have any inner turmoil telling myself, you rode shit today. Where's the next good horse going to come from? I kind of forgave myself, although I wasn't in the program. When I say that to the listeners, I wasn't in an AA program. I was just in therapy. I kind of forgave myself for all the harm I caused. To this point, I probably hadn't caused as much harm until we rolled the clock forward. Um, Anyway, get through all of 2022. There's rumors though that Oisin Murphy is drinking, and there's rumors that Oisin Murphy is coke taking, and it drove me fucking insane. Insane. You know, the Sun wrote an article that I was drinking at Newbury Racecourse. I brought a fellow with terminal cancer for the day out. I wasn't drinking. Um, and it had a bad effect. You know, I went to the Melbourne Cup in 2022 as a spectator, flew down their economy to Australia, tried to do it like a normal fella, met up with some um, Irish people that I'd known 20 years previous. They're all drinking pints. I'm drinking orange juice and lemonade. Do the whole thing sober. Get back and listen to this shit from people.
Mm.
Anyway, I got up to about, it'd be easier in kilos for your listeners. I got up to about 65, 66 kilos. I was an Oompa Loompa. I was a big fat unit, and I had to work very hard in the end of my suspension in early 2023 to get the weight off. Um, Worked hard at it. Got the weight off, got back riding. My first big meeting was in Doha, in Qatar. Flaming Rib, he won the sprint. All of a sudden, I'd more motivation to be sober. At the beginning of that sobriety journey, I won a Breeders' Cup Distaff in America. I've just got back riding where it's going to be tested. I'm sober. Anyway, I get through February, March, April, May, June 2023 sober. Royal Ascot week, most high pressure week in a flat jockey's season. Loads of rides, few chances. The Saturday Royal Ascot, decided I could relax with a few drinks at home. Perfect. 4 or 5 vodka lemonades, maybe a glass of champagne. Remember going to bed. I've cracked this. I can drink like a gentleman. Don't know what the fuss was all about. I didn't do anything that bad. No major issues. Why did I even need to give up drinking? Well, anyway, we rolled the clock forward 6 months, and I am getting drunk every single day. And I am blacking out every single day. And the memory recovery that I noticed during my period of sobriety while I was banned and for the first 5 or 6 months of me being back race riding was extraordinary, David. I'd remember this conversation we're having. I'd remember meeting someone down the shop. I'd remember signing an autograph for a child. I might even remember their name. Previous to that, I wouldn't even be able to tell you where I had ridden yesterday. Or I couldn't name what horses. I had done that much damage to whatever memory parts of my brain. I used to fall over all the time drunk as well. You know, like I cracked my head open here and my forehead bled out all night, didn't notice, no one noticed, woke up in a pool of blood. Um, I've had loads of little head injuries like that from falling over. Um, anyway, devil on my shoulder, short memory, no memory, all the drinking memories, forgiven, forgotten. Get back to 2024. I've had a few bad incidents now, you know, conflict with my girlfriend, um, just issues that I don't need. Um, People saying to me, "You're drinking too much," you know, that sort of inner turmoil. But it's a progressive illness, and it was about to get worse. I blacked out on New Year's Eve this year. Um, Completely blacked out, didn't make it to midnight. I went to a dinner party the first week in January at a friend's house in Mayfair. Had a nice dinner, a few glasses of wine. That wasn't enough. Um, Got out of the car on the way back to Chelsea and went to a nightclub on my own. I woke up outside, basically just outdoors at 5 o'clock in the morning with phone, wallet, and everything else on me. Extraordinary, really. I Something bad could have happened. Um, how did I deal with that? Got up the next morning, went to mass, 10 o'clock mass in the London Oratory, and got out of mass, went to um, what is it called? Something Codrington. Anyway, went to a pub in Chelsea on my own. Had 3 pints in 20 minutes just to take the edge off. 3 pints of Moretti. Um, and what did I do then? Went to South Africa with my girlfriend to ride. Huge falling out, blacked out every day. Promised that I would control my drinking. Tried, thought I was controlling my drinking, end result the same, blacking out. Um, Went to Saudi Arabia in February. Had no drink there. I actually had turned down Saudi trips previously in my career because there was no alcohol there. Got back to Heathrow at like 7 o'clock in the morning on the Sunday, having ridden there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or whatever I did. Um, Went to the bar in like Terminal 3 before you come out the door. Um, I think I had 4 pints in half an hour before I got in the car with my driver. And then obviously got back home, drank more. Um, First day of Cheltenham Festival this year. Flew there in a helicopter, drunk from the night before. Never got a chance to sober up. Um, Thought no one knew I was drinking. I was ordering it myself. Vodka lemonades in a pint glass, Um, Doubles and trebles and whatever I could get my hands on. Blacked out. Nothing really bad happened. I might have said a few horrible things to people, but it wasn't on the front of any newspapers. Did get very anxious. Um, Went back to Cheltenham the next 3 days sober. Said to myself, can't deal with that, but I have to be brave enough, face up to this now, show people that you can do a sober day. Promised myself I wasn't going to drink vodka anymore. Roll the clock forward a month. I'm under severe pressure. It's a week before the season, the Flat Jockeys Championship season. So end of April into the 1st of May, or first weekend of May. I'm riding some good horses this week. Ones I have high aspirations for. Skimmer, Jackknife. Can't sleep. I'm not actually drinking to blackout every night at this stage. Um, I'm having like a mix between 3 bottles of Moretti and 16, but that isn't enough to get me drunk. I've given up the vodka, I thought. Ride a treble at Leicester on the Saturday. Asked my driver to drop me at my cousin's house. I'll get a lift back. They have a driver. My own driver will head home, and we'll discuss a time to go to Suddle tomorrow or later on. Go to the pub, have a few drinks in the private room, chatting about the season and no bother. Um, Decide to go and watch the boxing. Start drinking vodka. Um, Remember leaving their house. Don't need to leave. They live in a mansion. I can stay there whenever I want. Get the car keys, drive the car. 10 or 15 minutes down the road, kind of halfway between their house and my house. I had a maximum speed of 48 mile an hour. I fell asleep and crashed the car at 32 or 33 mile an hour with a passenger. Um, no one's quiet road. No one's coming. I ring the police, ring the ambulance. Takes them an hour to come. I'm paralytic, but I'm capable of realizing that my passenger's complaining of back pain. Airbags popped out, whatever. Um, Police come, get arrested, get taken to the hospital to be checked over. There's nothing wrong with me. The girl's taken to the hospital to get checked over. They won't let me know how she is. Um, I'm inside in the cell, whatever. I blew 60 something, anyway, way over. And it was a couple of hours after the accident. Um, the policeman at the desk tells me the girl has life-changing injuries, and he put me back in the cell. You know, I had been brought out for fingerprinting or something, and I thought, holy fuck. Don't know what I've done to this girl. She got out of the car independently at the scene, but maybe she has a broken back. Maybe something moved and it severed or affected her spinal cord. What have I done? And I got left out, wasn't allowed to contact the girl. Um, no contact allowed. Um, the police made remarks like, "Could you not afford a driver?" And just very unhelpful things. It's bad. It was bad, David. Um, really bad. After a few days, a friend of mine got in touch and said she's going to be okay. She's being left out of hospital soon. That was a huge relief. Maybe the biggest victory in my life to date that I didn't cause her life-changing injuries. Um, have this ability to under significant pressure when everything's falling down around me, to block it out for a few minutes and just focus on the riding. And I was lucky that I was able to ride because it was the only kind of sanctuary I got during those next few months. You know, every day there was someone asking, and there was no contact from the police. They sent my court summons to the wrong address, bearing in mind they had my correct address. Um, they just weren't great. They didn't return my phone. Um, they they weren't very helpful. They were supposed to let me know about the condition of the girl. They never did. Um, I think they were quite happy to. I suppose they've got bigger things to concern themselves with also. But but I got the impression like um someone there wanted to make a point that little rich fuckers don't get away with this, and anyway, I started going to AA, David, before I crashed that car.
Right.
Um, and it was helpful. I could I could see the comparisons and I could make comparisons and see the similarities between me and some of the other people in recovery. I felt no one was judging me there. Did I really want to be sober before the crash? No. I was still holding on to that thing. I am going to learn to drink like a good fella.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn to have a few pints with the lads or have a few beers at home and no consequences. I'm not going to black out. Of course, that wasn't possible for me, as the story proves. I went back into the rooms and told them what had occurred. Most of them had heard about it on the news. Um, I was quite low, very low. I didn't know if I was low enough, you know. Didn't know if I was quite low enough because some of the stories, obviously, we both know for people to actually hit rock bottom, they need to be homeless and they need to lose family and their life needs to become really shit. Um, anyway, do you know what's so strange as well there? And I never ever talk about this, but like, I wanted to be respected every day of my life, whether that was for um my writing ability, not really, but for the way I treated people, you know. I gave everyone my time. I couldn't. I just wanted to be seen as a nice person, and genuinely, you know, I was nice until I wasn't nice, which was due to drink.
Mm.
Um, but for a fella that meant so much to, I really fucked it up regularly, you know. Um, and then I drank on that kind of self-loathing and self-hate as well. I even now I'd be lying to you if I said I find it, you know, I'm at ease with my actions while I was drinking. No, absolutely not, you know. Absolutely not. I have had some peace recently. I've been able to inhale and think, God, I'm so lucky to be sober. I remember what happened today. I've had a good laugh. I've achieved something, you know. I don't want to overemphasize it, but I remembered what happened. You know, like that's such a big thing for me.
Yeah, I get it, mate. Because we're very similar, like at home drinking vodka, blacking out. And I really hear you when you say, drinking off the back of the shame and the regret as well. It's
Mm.
that perpetual cycle, isn't it? Of like, oh my God, I've done some terrible things. I need to drink to stop thinking about that as well. And you stopped drinking, was it in April 2025?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I crashed the car on the 26th of April at
yeah.
around 11:30 p.m. Although police reports say it was later, but they're wrong. Anyway.
And what did you just black out, fall asleep?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I by drink driving standards, which is crazy to say. I didn't drive recklessly. Um, but by fuck, it's reckless to
Well, yeah, you were, as you well know, lucky that there was no one on the road because your life would be completely different than others as well off the back of that. So, and is your friend okay now?
Oh yeah, yeah. But people don't often get second chances, Davey. You know,
No.
like
Yeah. Well, I can tell how
mm,
much it's affected you. Um, and that was your rock bottom after several rock bottoms, and they don't have to be massive rock bottoms as well.
no.
That's what I found out in my life is that I had several rock bottoms and they all added up. But since then, how have you done your sobriety and what is different as well this time?
First thing is, I have given up. I have given up the idea that I can drink like a normal person.
Yeah,
That's one for
that's
me.
a massive one, right? Because moderation,
Mm,
I think if you get to a point in your life where you have a dysfunctional relationship with alcohol, right?
mm.
Moderation's off the table because one equals 10 every single time.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? The little devil on your shoulder will say, "Oh, well, last week you only had five and you
Yeah.
went to bed on time." You know? Anyway,
Well,
so
that's the denial, but also there's a thing called fading effect bias where it's easy
mm,
to forget how bad it got. So
yeah.
you could go 2 or 3 weeks or a month and that, and then you think, well, was it that bad?
Oh,
Maybe I
that's
could have
that's
a
what
few.
happens every time, David.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't actually do that much wrong, you know?
yeah. And I've been
Absolute
forgiven
bollocks.
for sending that text and And it's just a justification for not actually facing the music and giving up. So April, you decided enough was enough, and you went to AA, right? And
Yeah,
so what is different this time, right? Like, was it that rock bottom, or have you just seen the light?
I've just realized that I could have killed someone, um, and I'm lucky I didn't, and I've got another chance.
Mm,
And life can be good sober. Listen, you have to learn how to socialize again without picking up a drink. You have to learn how to manage your time. Um, a fella said to me recently he looked like a movie star, Irish. Couldn't believe he wasn't an actor, but he wasn't. He said life is still shit, Shane, but it was a hell of a lot shitter when I was drinking.
mm,
And by fuck, he's right, you know.
mm. Well, it lands that one, doesn't it? It's a powerful statement.
Because listen, David, I still have some bad days, you know. I still, but if I don't pick up a drink, that day is fine,
Mm.
you know. That day only becomes really bad if I start drinking.
And you mentioned like about the socializing, but how do you now quieten your mind? Because I will say, in my
Mm.
experience, that most of us that have an issue with drinking are complete overthinkers. And, for me, I used to catastrophize. I used to get myself in a state. But that that one drink, that what you were saying about your measures earlier, I used to have a massive one, right? And I used to hold the glass in front of me and I'd say, I love you. Goodbye, reality. Fuck you. Right. It was almost like a thing. And I
Mm.
would drink out of a pint glass, so it could be probably 6, 7, 8 measures of vodka, then the
Hmm.
tonic, and drink it down in one. And within 10 minutes, I thought, if my neighbour knocks on my door now, who I've just said hello to when she was doing her front garden, right,
Mm.
she would say, what's happened? Because I could be drunk within 15
10
minutes.
minutes. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's powerful.
But then when I stopped drinking, one of the biggest things for me is like my mind was like I had to really change my mindset of how I looked at life and things, and I had to manage my own anxiety and change my lifestyle of going straight to the fridge when I got in and getting the tonic out and hiding the vodka and pouring I had to change all my routines. But it was
Mm.
my mind that I had to work on the most. It was like throughout the day it would change because in the morning, right, that's it, I'm not drinking tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. And then lunchtime you start to feel a little bit more normal, back to normal. By 3, 4 o'clock, you're like, well, do you know what? I could have one. But you buy enough to get absolutely slaughtered because I never had any in the house because I'd drunk it all the night before. So I'll go out and buy a litre of vodka just in case. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. David, I never even wanted to drink in moderation, really. I I just didn't want to fail the breathalyzer at the races the next day, and I didn't care about anything else. Um, you know,
And do you think your sport contributes to that because you're like, although you've got a team around you, you're an individual athlete, right? So sportsman. So like I know a lot of boxers, right? That
Mm.
it's a very isolated thing where you're out running early in the morning, you spend a lot of time on your own, and then they're in the ring and everyone's focusing on you. And I know a lot of boxers that have retired, ended their career in that, and alcohol has played a huge part. I mean, there's been suicides and all sorts. Do you think the racing industry is a real problem in that, or do you think it was just your thing going on? I'm more talking about the pressure side of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's down to you to achieve a bit like the boxing. You can't rely on team members to pick you up on the days you're not performing. There is a great network there to help us. But David, I don't know many people who are really suffering that are capable of reaching out for help. Um, I rejected help often. Um, I didn't want it. I wasn't ready for it.
Mm.
Um, and there's a part of me as well, David. Like I turned 30 this year. I won another Jockey's Championship. I won six Group Ones. I didn't get to celebrate any of them, out of fear of that having a social kind of
Yeah.
gathering here at the house. I didn't, and yeah, of course, I wish that I wasn't an alcoholic. Um, but I've accepted it, and it's funny actually. I've never struggled with the words, in my when I'm sober and clear thinking. I've never struggled to say, "Hi, I'm Oisin. I'm an alcoholic," um, which is interesting.
Well, I've had many conversations around this, and for me, I look at it differently. I don't like the word, but I do know some friends of mine that they use it all the time because they identified something, and every single day they identified being an alcoholic, and it really helps them. For me, I want to move away from it.
Yeah,
I want to move away and leave it behind and go, I'm still mindful that I can't drink. I look at it like I'm allergic to alcohol because one drink will kill me. But
yeah,
I don't want to keep going, I'm an alcoholic, right? Because I don't identify to that word. But we're all different, aren't we? And we can all do it our own way as well.
yeah. And I mean, you've hit the head nail on the head there. It's a for us, it's a terminal illness. And the cure is just not to pick up a
Mm.
drink.
Yeah.
And it sounds very simple, but it's we're complex people, generally, and it's not simple for us.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to talk about is that being a jockey, you obviously have to manage your weight, right? And we know when we stop drinking, quite often we get the old sugar monster coming in, right? Where we get a sweet tooth and people say, "Oh my God, I'm eating so much chocolate," and that. How do you manage your weight? I mean, you say back in the day when you were drinking, you was like an Oompa Loompa when you stopped drinking and that. But with
Mm.
your racing, it's quite specific, your weight, isn't it? How do you manage that?
Yeah, I'm not any lighter now that I'm sober than I was when I was drinking. I didn't have a very big appetite or no appetite at all. You'll know what it's like when you're drinking an awful lot of vodka. You don't get hungry. And It's difficult. Um, would I say my weight contributed to my drinking? No, that's an excuse. That's a fucking excuse.
Mm,
Um, I have to work very hard at it. I'm not the biggest jockey, but I'm certainly not the smallest, and it's a daily kind of struggle. I mean, I get on the scales every single day, and I'm riding in Saudi Arabia this coming week. Friday, Saturday, I'll be under a bit of pressure weight wise. Yeah, it's uh, it's part and parcel of it though, and there are fellas who are under more pressure with the scales than I am, who didn't decide to drink.
yeah. Yeah, I heard a story that you had to lose 10 pounds really quickly. That must have been a challenge, right?
Yeah, I had to lose 10 pounds in like 36 hours. Yeah, it was hard. Am I capable of doing it? Yes. Is the average person capable of doing it? No. But it it takes a bit out of you, you know.
Right. Um, so what does the future look like, mate? You've written a book about it, haven't you?
Yeah, so the book is on the 2024 season. And I'm sober, so it doesn't really give a true reflection of um what it was like.
Mm.
So it'll give an idea of what my schedule is like, and the workload, and I think people will have their eyes open to be like, how does he get through that? But yeah, the consequences of my drinking aren't to the fore of that book.
Well, is there a new one in you then?
Um, Look, I hope. we can have another conversation in a few years' time, David, and I'm doing well and still in recovery. And then we can consider it.
Yeah. So moving forward, one day at a time. You know, whoever you follow or whatever way of sobriety, it's always one day at a time, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And look, it's manageable when you just think one day at a time. When you say to yourself, "Oh, I don't want to drink anymore," or "I can't drink anymore," that can't deal with the consequences, whatever it is. Um, a lifetime seems like impossible.
Yeah.
But if you say, "Oh, I'm not drinking today," that's possible.
Yeah.
And then, sure, every day adds up, and all of a sudden you've done a week. Um, and do you know what I will say, just for people maybe that think they have a drink problem, um, but they're uncertain and they maybe don't want to hand it over and admit it. That's fine. You know, you're not all the way there, but you're at the start. Um, I would say to you, the first week, 2 weeks maybe, between week one and week three, you'll see you'll see all the positives of not drinking, you know. That first week, after you get over the first week, your sleep gets a bit better, feel a bit better. Um, just a lot of things can be better. And then after month one, it can get a bit tougher.
The pink cloud in it in the beginning where it's all roses in it, and then your mind starts wandering, doesn't it? And the devil starts tapping you on the shoulder, and it's like, you said that you didn't want to moderate, and well, I'm still around and that.
The miracles you're expecting to happen haven't happened, you
Mm,
know?
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. And I need to caveat that as well, mate, is that both of us were really, really heavy drinkers,
Mm,
like heavy, and both of us stopped, right? And we need to say that that can be quite dangerous as well. Like if you're
yeah.
a dependent drinker, go and get some medical help as well, because I'd stopped as well and it could have killed me and it could have killed you because
Mm,
with the amounts we were drinking. So it's important to say that.
yeah.
Um, but you are such an inspiration talking to you, mate. For a 30-year-old bloke, you really do look at your sobriety in such a wise and mature way. And I just wish you so much luck for the future and positivity. And I'm so grateful you've taken the last hour to share your story. Thank you so much, mate.
Pleasure, David. Thank you, mate.
Yeah. Okay, great. See you soon, mate. Take care. Thanks ever so much.